Hello, welcome to Sociology of Cars podcast. I'm your host, Jimmy XIE. You're listening to the second episode of Season 2 brought to you by 0 to 60 Studios in San Dimas, California. My guest today is Rylic, the founder and producer of a rising internet-based automotive show, O-Shift. Rylic, I am so glad to have you in the studio. After 2 years of knowing you, I can't believe you're here. Thank you and welcome.
Wow, what an honor. I can't believe I'm here either.
Of course. So before we dive into your show, for those who are not familiar with who you are as an individual, what should they know about you? What should the national audience know about Rylic?
Not too much. I would say that I am a creative across the board. So a lot of people might come up and talk to you and might be like, oh, yeah, I know Rylic, the artist, but they know nothing about cars, or it might be the other way around and not know anything. I just believe in creating and exploring that curiosity bone, but cars have been in my bloodline since I can remember. So this is what is driving me currently.
What was that trigger point like for you when you said, wow, cars are cool, I might want to get into it?
It was always like that for me. As a little kid, I wanted to be a race car driver. You want to be a million things as a kid, right? You want to be an astronaut, but you also want to be a dentist because you met a really cool dentist. You want to be all these things, but I wanted to be a race car driver in some moments. And when I wanted to be an actor, I was thinking of doing like action movies with racing scenes, and then eventually, because I was drawing cars when I was a kid, I got to a point where I was like, hey, I want to be a car designer. And from 10 years old until college, it was car design. So I knew cars were going to be my future some kind of way. I just took a long pause with life and it became a hobby, and then it came full circle.
It's kind of like a general trigger. There's not one event, but you've always had an affinity for cars.
Well, so I didn't really have a choice. The passion for cars happened because I happened to be born to my parents. My mom, instead of telling me bedtime stories, would draw me cars to fall asleep. My dad would drive me around the block in his modified Mazda RX-7 so I could go to sleep. My grandparents, one grandfather was a slalom racer. The other one was a racer, but street racing. So he was kind of notorious back in the Midwest. You can kind of look him up if you want to. And my grandmothers were both in car clubs and, did their fair share of fun things with cars. So I had no choice. They set me up.
Wow. So speaking of the history of Rylic, can you give us a quick rundown of all of the cars you've owned so far?
My first car ever, 2006, was one of the first modified Scion TCs. I had built it up to, because my buddies had, Subaru WRXs, G35s, Nissan Zs. And so I built it up to keep up with Zs and G35s, which was a cool thing for a little car, a little 140 horsepower original car back then, to get it up to those numbers. Then once I stopped being a broke college student, I got my first Z, wrecked it, got another Z. I think everybody that owns a Z wrecks a Z. And then I made my way to the 3 Series that everybody probably saw in the Canyons, and then the Supra.
That's quite a diverse lineup, it seems. So can you give us a little history lesson? How did you come to create O-Shift in the first place?
Because I was this little black queer kid going to car meets, car events, car shows, and I wouldn't really see anybody that looked like me, but I knew I existed, right? So if I existed, more like me had to exist. And eventually I just wanted to see more of not just myself and representation in those terms, but the things that I liked and appreciated. And so that was how I kind of came up with the concept for doing something like O-Shift. But the name itself, which is like the real question, everybody, like, where did that name come from? The universe. I have no idea. I was sitting in traffic one day and I was like, I need to come up with a name. Shift. And I was like, oh, shit. Oh, Shift. Got it. Name not taken. Trademarked. Bam.
Wow.
History.
And how long ago was this?
2021.
Okay, so O-Shift has existed for 4 years.
Yeah.
So it's funny that you talked about how you came up with a name, because ever since I've met you, right, I've been thinking about this. We've all had that one friend who is so courteous that they refuse to cuss. And they just so, what the flip, or shut the front door. Every time when I hear that, I just roll my eyes and think, the more you avoid cussing, the more awkward you sound. Yeah. And the more that you irritate those who are listening. So ever since I've met you like 2 years ago, and when I first learned about O-Shift, I just thought to myself, if one day I get to interview Rylic, I'm going to say this in the interview, which I'm about to do right now. Are you ready?
Let's get into it.
Oh shit. Oh shit.
Oh shit.
I just need to get that out of my system real quick.
Well, let me let you know I got a potty mouth, so that is not the case here. So I'm gonna go over my limit and my credits for cussing really fast.
So let's talk about your why real quick, because you mentioned that you were the only black kid, the queer kid.
Yeah.
Let's dive into your why. What is it that you want to achieve?
What is important to my soul and my spirit is creating a safe space in the car community, because there is so much exclusivity that happens. You see this happen a lot. There is people treat information as a means to exclude. Like, hey, I know about these cars. I know about these things. Oh, you don't know about this? You're too good. You can't be here. Or they do the same thing with art.
You know, it's kind of like who's a true artist, who's a true car guy.
Yeah. And what's really important to me, so again, I believe in equality across the board. Like, that's something I strive for, but being part of the queer community, they are often not just underrepresented, but underserved. And so what I mean by that is that they're usually getting the scraps. Like, think of when you see drag queens, right? Like, most of them don't have many resources much, but they put together these crazy outfits that you'll see, and it's out of nothing, and they always find a way. And that's what I've seen with the queer community and the black community. And I just think if they only knew about cars and they were able to bring that creativity over here and that curiosity, imagine what could happen, because a lot of them don't realize, they just don't know just how beautiful cars are. And cars are just giant machines for individuality, for creativity. That's all they are. You can make a car whatever you want, right? If you want it to be economical, if you want it to be fast, if you want it to handle a certain way, whatever you want to do with a car, you can.
And just being minorities, it stopped a lot of people from accessing expensive hobbies like cars.
Yes, absolutely that. And so that's one of the things that's important. Like, you'll notice with O-Shift, I don't ever say, hey, what do you do, right? I don't ever ask anybody what they do, because I don't want anybody to assume that you could only have this thing based on where you spend your hours working every day.
And especially, you know, if I have like an $80,000 car that I want to be featured on your show, you really think that $80,000 was legal? Obviously, I got it from somewhere. A little funny, right?
You know, you gotta do something. You do something strange for some change.
Oh yeah, sure. I'm a high school teacher who drives a Ferrari. I wonder where the money came from.
Right. Wink, wink.
What was your experience like in the car community, going to car shows, and describe the traditional car crowd?
Well, I see one color. But I just started to see this change within the past 4 or 5 years. I want to mention my buddy Rashad, who's with Motoring While Black. He put on an event with Hot Wheels at the Motoring Club. And that was the first time I had seen so many people of color in one place for the sake of cars. And I was blown away, because I was like, even though I had said in my head that was the reason I was starting O-Shift, that was a confirmation. It was like, we do exist.
Right.
Like, we are out here. And then you just got to see more and more. And I think that gave people the confidence to step out. And what I saw from that, you saw other things start shifting. You started seeing change happen, you know, with brands like Race Service as well, where it wasn't about the same traditional look or outlook of cars and what you can do to cars and how you put on these events surrounding in cars. It became more about the people and the culture. Brent with Concept Car Studio, and they just put out a wheel that's going to be focused on a lot of the JDM cars, which is like a 16-inch wheel, 14 to 16 inches, right? That's not the industry standard right now, but that's drawn towards the people that might have the Terrenos, or like might have Corollas or things of those example that like aren't these prestigious cars, but you could see the kid that might be the art student or might be the PA somewhere that's like, oh, I love cars, but I don't have a lot of money, but you're able to do things to your car. You now have products that are going to service your car.
Right. So much of the car culture is tied into our territorial culture, like LA, you know, the lowrider culture, muscle cars, JDM. And there's always a communal shared experience behind it. O-Shift is almost like the digital version of the Race Service, the digital version of the Motoring Club gatherings. And you're really presenting all the history and the cultural stuff forward. So it's not just about cars, but it's about humanity.
Yes, yes. Our biggest thing, I want to tell stories of the people behind these cars because the cars are just cars until they're driven, right? So who is the person behind the wheel? That's what I'm fascinated by. And that's probably why you guys don't see my face as much on the screen now is because, yes, I am part of O-Shift. I am, one of the founders of O-Shift, but let's focus on the actual person who built this. Like, what does this artist look like? What is their story? And that's what I'm so fascinated by.
So when you started going to car shows, obviously years ago, because you've always been an enthusiast, before there were venues that were welcoming to queer folks and people of color, what were your experiences like going to the traditional car shows?
Not to get too deep here, but just being an African American, you always have those walls and those defenses up because you know that there might be extra eyes on you, regardless, no matter what you do, just because of your pigment that you can't change, right? You're already going in alert in that sense. But what it looked like was me being a kid standing next to my dad, being like, oh, look at this car, da da da. But it felt like pipe dreams back then, right? It was like, oh, one day it would be cool to have something like this or to be able to sit in those cars was like so exciting. Like I remember sitting in a Z or a Corvette and like, oh my goodness, like this is what it feels like to be behind one of these cars or to get an opportunity. And you didn't see these cars of course we saw Corvettes, but we didn't see like Dodge Vipers or like 911 GT3s in the hood. Like we didn't see those things, but the focus for me became the cars, right? Because it was like already in my mind, I'm just going to be one of one or one of three. And so I was just looking at the cars and the art, the things that were built. And then eventually when you start seeing people like you give them a nod. You're like, oh, hey, what's going on? What's up? And then eventually you start seeing more and more. And I think it was just such a gradual thing that now I can look back at it retroactively and engage with the people because I know there is going to be somebody like me walking around.
Wow. So I'm just thinking back to the shows that I've watched, that you produce. It's almost like I'm seeing the little Rylic going around car shows and be like, oh, I wonder what it's like to sit in that car. I wonder what is the experience of the car owner.
Yeah. Wow. Like this is something that's almost getting me emotional on camera. So I hope y'all are just listening so you aren't seeing my eyes water up. But I, filmed a Ferrari, a 355 over the past weekend. I'm in this car, I'm doing this and like having the time of my life. And this is something I never expected to be in. Or when I got to drive my first Ferrari, a Testarossa, and like he wants me to drive the hell out of his car. Like I thought this was exclusive to doing this on like Forza or Gran Turismo. So when you see that smile, when you see me laughing, when you see me giggling, when you see that smile on my face, like that is the little kid in me. Like I am immediately teleported back to the 90s when that happens. And I think it really happens when I'm in these 90s cars too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
For me, it was the Mercedes S-Class from the 90s.
The mid-90s one?
Yeah. When I saw those, I'm like, oh, my mom's boss is here. Or like the rich guy is here. It's a little intimidating, not gonna lie.
That's so funny. That's actually, my grandfather had one of those. So I learned how to drive on the 380 SE, and then he had a 94 S500. So that was like the first car I learned where he actually taught me like these cars are meant to be driven.
Cars are like avatars. They're like containers for so many meanings and social connotations, and people assume things about you.
Does the audience know what you drive?
Well, I drive a Miata, and I also have a BMW.
Okay, so I know why you drive your Miata because I've seen you in the canyons. What expectations do you have behind the wheel when you push that button to start the ignition in the 230i?
I think the 230i for me represents an innocence. I think that getting a Porsche for me is like getting married. But I don't want to get married right now. I want to keep effing around. I want to have 5 girlfriends before I get married. And the 2 Series reminds me of that club promoter who worked so hard, grew up in Glendale, was trying to make it, and it's a little bit dirty on the outside because he doesn't have time to wash it, but he just got it from a used car dealership. And that's either the 1 Series or the 2 Series. It represents an innocent time in a person's early 20s. And that's the version of life that I've never got to experience because I've always been that sophisticated guy. Like sometimes I purposefully, when I wear like sweats, I want people to say, wow, Jimmy is so manly and so, like bad boy-ish. But when I show up, people are like, Jimmy, you're so sophisticated. You're so tidy. I'm like, what? That's not what I'm going for. Wait a minute. So this time, hopefully with this BMW, I get to truly experience what it's like to be a little douchey.
I love that.
I think that in a man's life, you need to have one BMW at least once.
I support that, or 15.
So, Rylic, I think it's reasonable for our audience to ask you at this point, do you have a long-term vision for O-Shift? What is your end game?
When people think of cars, I want them to think of O-Shift.
Quite ambitious.
Very, absolutely. Why not be? Don't they say shoot for the stars, land on the moon?
What is a star for you?
Being able to turn on Netflix or HBO and see O-Shift presents. Another star for me is seeing us put on our own car meet or car events. I want to see those pink logos everywhere. It's usually so masculine and misogynistic in the industry. So I was like, let's throw in all this pink everywhere. So to be able to see that flooded around the car space would be so cool.
Wow. I think this is a good segue to a little break. When we come back, Rylic wants to feature your car on his show. You're listening to Sociology of Cars podcast. This is Jimmy XAE. Hey, Rylic, let me tell you more about our sponsor 0 to 60 Studios in San Dimas, California. The studio we're in right now is actually for rent. We're sitting on a loft. We can see Joe and Chris working on that beautiful CT4 black wing. Absolutely stunning. They're doing the PPF. And we also have a Lotus Elise that's here getting wrapped. And they also do tinting over at the Auto Lab. Right next door to us on the second floor, we have a printing shop. When you first came in, there's a gigantic print on the wall of a beautiful AMG GT and also the 0 to 60 logo. In the office, there's also a gigantic print on the wall, and there's also a cutout that says 0 to 60. We can do all of that here. It's kind of like a one-stop shop. And then right below us is a 1,000 square foot sim racing studio. And there's 4 gigantic curved monitors, state-of-the-art motion seats. We also have a lounge of leather sofas. Leather sofas, wouldn't you want to sit in that one?
Yeah. But I want to fall asleep on it. It looks so comfortable. But then I see the chairs right there and I'm like, oh, wait, I want to race. What do I want to do?
Exactly. And there's like 3 TVs at the lounge?
Yes.
Whew.
I know. I was like, sensory overload, but in a good way because I have ADHD. Yay.
Perfect. And outside, we have plenty of parking. So when you come here for your private car meet, or just any car meet that we curate, right? A birthday event, private event. Nowadays, we also have Friday Canyon runs. You will have plenty of space to park your car without having to worry about it. And it's so much more than everything that I can even talk about here. It's like a one-stop shop for all of the driving enthusiasts. And I just want to make sure that people know that 0 is the word 0, numeral 2, and then the word 60. Word 0, numeral 2, and word 60. Go on Instagram and see the full range of products that we offer. So, Rylic, when you first walk into 0 to 60 Studios, what did you think of the place?
I was like, oh my God, what car is that? I saw that wing of that Z06, that C8 sitting right there. I saw the awards for racing, and then I looked down and I was like, wait, sim racers, what is this? And then I saw you upstairs in the studio, and I was like, oh my God, there's a lot going on here. It's so cool. No, but honestly, it felt very welcoming. It's a little dim lit, which is good, right? It makes you feel immersed in the space. It was cool to see the cars getting wrapped. I noticed that out of my peripheral when I first came in before I did the tour. And I was like, oh, cool. Like they're doing the wrapping in there too. And it just has the aesthetic works. So I was just like, oh, this is cool. I want to learn more about who these guys are. Immediately when I came in, I was like, what is your story? And Joe was like, hey, let's give you a tour. And I was like, oh my God, absolutely. So all in all, it was like a great experience walking in.
Wow, nice. So this is like a man cave.
Absolutely. In that couch down there? Yes. I was like, babes, I would never leave.
Right, and we're just hiding in a little corner here, and the people who are driving the canyons can hear us. How magical is that?
Paradise. Hey, y'all, don't cross the line, please. I know you're tempted to right now. I get it. That Altima is getting on your nerves because they won't slow down, right? But they can't quite speed up. Don't cross the line.
You know what? You can refine your skill on the sim because staying in a single lane takes a lot of skill.
A tremendous amount.
So come over, check it out. 0 to 60. Word 0, numeral 2, word 60. Wow, Rylic, thank you so much for sharing your amazing story. Out of so many people that you've interviewed, I'm sure that you've established a lot of meaningful bonds. So are there any types of car enthusiasts or cars that you really want to feature but haven't yet found?
Yes. I mean, I consider myself an automotive journalist, right? I'm just not as formal as some of the others. And I would love to have some of these experiences with some of the automotive journalists out there, right? And get different takes. Like, it's your job to be doing this as it is mine, but like from completely different vantage points. Like, I am the wild, wild west. I'm unhinged. I have nobody to answer to. But what does it look like for you, the brain that's trained to look at this as a sponsor-friendly perspective, right? So I think that's cool. Racers, also racers. I want to see the people that are into motorsports, that are into pushing the car to its limits, because that is what I'm about. My two things as a driver. And then when it comes to cars, I want to get an F40 on, and we have somebody, and I just need him to text back. But if you know somebody with a Ferrari F40 and they would be down to be on O Shift, bring them. I also want a Lexus LFA. I know it's so hard to come by. Get us a Lexus LFA, and I will make you guys the best Lexus LFA video you have ever seen and you will ever see. I promise.
So how do people find you if they have any leads?
O Shift TV. OH Shift, not the letter O, but O Shift TV on YouTube, on Instagram. Find us on there. We respond pretty quickly. We have a team that can connect us. Find me. I'm Rylic Alexander. So you'll find one of the two. Just don't look for me on Twitter, please.
So let's say if someone has, a cool car that they feel like you might want to feature, can they reach out and just kind of self-suggest?
Absolutely. Yes. Our DMs are open.
So, Rylic, what do you need right now for your team? Are you recruiting?
Yes, we are. Listen, there's only one of me. So I need a team to do what we're doing and be able to scale out. So each time I film, there is a car full of 4 people. You have the director who is just directing. His job is not to operate the cameras. He is cam op. You have somebody pulling focus to keep things in focus. You have the driver. That's 4 people in the car. We could only film one car at a time. But imagine if we could film multiple cars on a given day. If we could start bringing in people to help the team, whether it be a director, whether it be someone to pull focus, cam op, drivers, dedicated drivers. What we also need as well, I need an assistant. You don't have to be the most knowledgeable about cars. It's about passion. Everybody I'm looking for, like, I want you to be passionate about this.
Right. So all these positions are paid.
Yes. We need the funding though, babe, so we can really build out the team and scale out.
And then people can just reach out to you on IG?
Yes. O Shift, OH Shift TV. Find us on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok. We'll reach out to you. DMs are open.
So, Rylic, at the end of the show, I just wanted to say thank you so much for sharing all of your insight and your experience and your journey. It's every time when I have an ambitious creative like you, I just cannot ask for more. And I think we have a deeper bond because we both have our own channels, our own, entrepreneurship. I have Sociology of Cars, Cars and Breakfast, the podcast. So I understand how much work and energy and time goes into producing a great show. There are shows and there are great shows. So please do not hesitate to reach out if you need any help. Know that Sociology of Cars is always behind O Shift.
Thank you, Jimmy. And I say the same thing with O Shift. As I told you before, what you're doing here is a beautiful thing, getting to connect with the people and really talk about the sociology of cars. Wow. Like what branding, whatever we can do to help y'all out, I'm excited. And I can't wait, as I've said before, to look at that mountainside, at that next level, at those next stages, and know that I have a friend right there.
Beautiful. Well, wish you best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. Sociology of Cars podcast is produced by Sociology of Everything, supported by 0 to 60 Studios in San Dimas, California. This is Jimmy Xie. We'll see you next time.